So we got this very beautiful Nordic lady. I think she calls herself the Antifa Queen or something like that. Very, very left-wing oriented, very pro-EU. But it's the type of pro-EU where she doesn't actually think about the issues. It's kind of like the media tells her what the issues are, and she's just parroting them. Like all of a sudden she finds herself agreeing. The only problem with this is that she's a European influencer. I have to wonder if she's not actually being paid by EU NGOs. A lot of people have to watch out for this, right? Because it is a tactic that modern governments use, both on the left and on the right. They find an influencer that's already popular and may even already agree with the politics, and then they astroturf and pay them in order for them to say the things that the governments want to say in order to come like it's grassroots, right? When in reality, you see a video like this that gets like 1.2 billion views, and it's not like something like that's incredibly funny or out of the ordinary or a new way of thinking, right? Like would generate this amount of traffic, and so it's a little bit sus, is what I'm saying. Back in the old day, right, like when we were the skeptics and we were discovering YouTube and shit, in order for a person to be this popular, like they would have to create something completely brand new, or they would have to frame things in a way that nobody has heard of before. The only people that did have this amount of traffic were corporations, right? And so this is why I'm not attacking this lady in particular, but like when I go online and I see a TikToker or an influencer that is basically saying basic bitch, sanitized, already public approved opinions, and they're making this amount of views, I have to think either astroturfing, maybe they're getting paid. Although, like in this situation, maybe it's possible just because she's beautiful, right? Like pretty people like Clavicular seem to have followers just because the way they look. So, yeah. Basically, the population in the European Union is bigger than the United States. I don't think that this is necessarily a good thing, right? Like, having a big population is, of course, an advantage up to a certain point. Like, I don't want to live in a country that has 1 billion people, right? Like, overcrowdedness is a thing. So, at the same time, you don't want to live in a country that has a very small population. This is not necessarily a flex, right? Just because, like, there's more people. Okay, she then talks about life expectancy, freedom of speech, right? Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Like, this is the face you make when you know you're lying. And people are even calling her out. Now, look, let's say that the United Kingdom is not part of the EU, right? But assuming Brexit didn't happen, do you honestly think that Brussels would have stepped in and railed the United Kingdom in and said, you're going too far, you know, like, we need more freedom of speech here? The funniest part, like, there is this viral video on the internet, which I haven't saved, but it's Ursula von der Leyen literally talking about free speech at a rally when another guy is accusing her of being a tyrant, and that guy is genuinely, like, being dragged by the cops, right? While she is talking about free speech, that guy is being dragged away. Look, that is like a South Park level sketch. This is beyond clownish. But okay, fine. You know, like the United Kingdom, obviously, right, not within the European Union. And so we can't judge the EU's free speech based on that. But we get to see Germany. Germany is number 3 at arresting people. Germany is arresting more people than fucking China. Than fucking Turkey. Than Russia. Right? It's just saying, like, you cannot make the statement when the United States has a constitution that guarantees free speech. The European Union doesn't. And this is not just like people getting arrested. You also look at the Digital Service Act. Like, they will not arrest people, sure, but like if you post something that they don't like, they can force social media platforms legally to take down that speech. There is no such legislation in the United States, right? And so just complete falsehoods, which again is like why it's interesting that this person is so popular. I mean, again, you have AI, right? Like, we live in the age where Grokky Is It True required an entire propaganda campaign to humiliate the people who do it in order to get them to stop doing it because they were fact-checking too much of this shit. Again, you know, like, after you've given me with the free speech shit, you're telling me that the European Union has more happiness than the United States. To be honest, though, like, the difference wouldn't even be that big if this is actually true after all the statistics. But I do wonder if the happiness happens to be in the heavily EU regulated places like Germany, or if the happiness doesn't happen to be more at the edges, like Eastern Europe, for instance. Income inequality. Income inequality is not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of people think it's like, oh my goodness. It really matters if you can have a ladder to escape the income inequality, right? Like, is the income inequality ossified? Are the poor people staying poor for generations? Or can the poor people actually ascend the ladder? With EU regulations, I think it's the latter. I genuinely think that you are more likely to get out of poverty in the United States by starting a business that's less regulated than in the EU. And the reason for this is that a lot of startups and a lot of businesses that actually do get started, they eventually migrate to the United States. Better taxing system, better regulatory system, a lot more freedom, and also it's the culture. Like, in the European Union, they look at the people that create shit, the people that make startups, they look at them with suspicion. Like they're evil people, you know, they're creating stuff, and it's bad that they're creating. Like, why can't they work for the government like normal people? And so that's something that needs to be considered. Get the fuck out. You know, like, at this point, you genuinely know that no sane person would say this. Like, how you can say that the EU is democratic, fine, it's not, but you can claim that, right? But you cannot say it's more democratic than the United States. Like, the United States that not only votes for their own president, but they also have an impeachment for the president, right? That the public can participate in. But more importantly, in the United States, the lawmakers actually get to legislate. A lot of people don't know that the EU MPs cannot make laws. Like, they cannot create laws. They cannot repeal laws. And so, no, like, saying that the European Union, which, again, we already discussed about free speech, like, that should be the biggest index of democracy. Like, you cannot have democracy if people can't talk to each other, right? We already discussed that the EU cracks down on free speech. Now you're basically saying that it's even more democratic than the United States. And so some people had to respond to this with actual statistics, right? They're comparing the GDP of America with the GDP from Europe. The United States have spent a lot for Europe's defense, which, again, is true. Like, the European Union can brag about, well, you know, like, look how wealthy we are. How much is the European Union actually focusing on military, right? Especially with Russia at the door. Like, how much are they spending, not just, like, having cash for a military, but, like, training their own national armies, deploying them around the world so they can get veterancy? Because, like, that actually matters, you know? Like, do we even have a warrior culture? What is the level of nationalism in the European Union? Like, if the European Union is under attack, are Polish people from the United States going to fly into EU to defend it? That's the real question, you know? Like, how many people are genuinely willing to die for the European Union flag? And if the answer is not many, well, the Americans are. Like, there would be Americans in Europe that if they find out their nation is under attack, they would actually fly to America in order to defend America, right? And so the reason Europe can afford this luxury is because the Americans are paying for our defense. And the Americans are paying for our defense because after World War II, they realized that every time Europe chimps out, the entire world burns. But still, you know, besides that point, Europe doesn't trust each other. Like, there is no way, no future where I can see that Polish people flying back to Europe to defend Germany because Germany is being under attack, right? There's a lot of historical grievances. There's a lot of baggage. There's a lot of cultural differences. And there's also, like, the condescending thing that the EU does in order to try to get nations to be together. They're not trying to negotiate and find common ground. They're basically acting incredibly smug. And they're basically saying, like, no, we are the future. We are the light. We are the civilization. You Poles are retarded. You Romanians, you have no idea. Like, before us, you were into the darkness. And, you know, this works to a certain degree, but after a while, especially when people just start looking at how the world actually works, and they realize, well, hold on a little bit, like, the United States is funding for the defense of Europe, and Europe is being extremely ungrateful right? And not only that, but there's like a massive anti-American propaganda going on right now where like America is suddenly evil, like the mainstream media just doesn't stop talking about how bad the US is. Which, don't get me wrong, right? Like, it's pretty bad, but when you're using their money and you're using their weapons, in order to protect you from Russia, you have to be a little bit more diplomatic, I would say. Then this is the interesting one, right? Like the Christianity argument. Now, Christianity does seem to bring happiness. There are two forms of Christianity, right? So, like, there's the community building Christianity, the one that's with charity, the one that's with Christians helping each other. And then there's also, like, the more Islamic version of Christianity, the one that's with purity spiraling, with witch hunting, with targeting society ills, like the Protestant type mostly. The first one genuinely builds happiness. Right? The first one, like, genuinely builds happy community. This is why I don't really believe the happiness index, unless the happiness index takes a lot of Muslims. Because Islam is the same, right? Like, if you're part of the, I guess, like, the incorporated community building Islamic religion, right? That one builds happiness. If you're part of the jihadi Islamic thing, where you need to, like, constantly look for Sharia law, for violations, for shit like that, that one reduces happiness. And so, it's possible that a lot of the happiness index from Europe may actually be because of places that have Islamic communities. But regarding Christianity in America, yeah, like, there are a lot of American communities that are genuinely happy, and the religion does increase the happiness. Probably not for people like me that, like, I can't believe in mysticism and the supernatural aspect and stuff like that. So, like, for me, it wouldn't work. But there's a lot of people that do believe in it, and, like, for them, it would work. It definitely makes people a lot more happiness than what the EU provides with LGBT ideology and shit, right? Like, that seems to actually make only a very small minority of people that take money from NGOs. Those are the ones that are being happy. But I've even asked transgender and gay people, and they themselves are unhappy with their activist representatives. The US holds, right, 388 Nobel Prizes. Like, that's also interesting, right? Like, if Europe is so developed, right? Like, why is it that in modern day, most of the progress seems to come from the United States? Whether it's AI, whether it's robotics, whether it's, like, tangible shit. Electric cars, Pfizer, right? Like, we can say bad things about Pfizer, but at the end of the day, that's where most of the medicine comes in. And so, notice something else, right? Like, this is my entire vibe with all of this. The Americans don't have to brag that America is better than Europe. Like, do you notice that? Like, you don't have, like, American TikTokers, like, constantly bragging, look how better America is than Europe. They're not even bragging that America is better than China. Why do you think that is? Right? Like, why do you think Europe doesn't live rent-free in the heads of Americans? But Europe is obsessed constantly, especially in recent years, of saying, oh, look how better the European Union is compared to America. I find that weird, isn't it? Like, shouldn't it be like both nations, if they were comparable, like, try to compete with each other? Meanwhile, America just shuts the fuck up. I think, like, the average American thinks less of Europe than the European thinks of America. Yeah, I mean, like, how many Americans freaked out when Ursula von der Leyen became president? Or how many Americans freaked out when the Greens managed to win a sweeping victory in Europe? Or how many Americans talk about the European elections? Meanwhile, how many Europeans talk about Trump? Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I'll see you in the comment section. Take care.